So if you own your own business, it's really important to claim all possible business expenses when filing your taxes. And I find a lot of businesses don't do this and they're not even aware of all the expenses they can claim. And so before I even start talking about the different expenses you may be able to claim, I just want to give a disclaimer here that this can vary a lot. I don't want to speak in absolutes here because what you can claim for business expenses can vary so much depending on your personal situation, your business situation, the industry you're in, your jurisdiction, the legal structure of your business. So it's always a good idea to work with a qualified professional in your region who understands business expenses and business taxes, and also to familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations around business expenses and the ones that you can claim for your industry, for your legal structure, for your jurisdiction. So of course, this video is just for general information purposes, but basically what I want to do is talk about some of the expenses that you may be able to claim as a business owner, and especially ones that can be overlooked sometimes and aren't so obvious. Like obvious ones, maybe if you're renting some office space for your business, that's probably not going to get overlooked. But ones that do get overlooked would maybe be things like cell phone usage. So if you start a business and you already have a cell phone before starting your business and you're just paying, your monthly service fee, but now that you've started that business, you're starting to use that cell phone at least a little bit for business, then you may be able to claim part of that monthly cell phone bill as a business expense because you are legitimately using it for business. Another thing is vehicle usage expenses. So again, if you start a business, but you already had a personal vehicle, but now in that business, you're using your personal vehicle in part for business reasons, you may be able to claim some of the expenses for the vehicle, like fuel, like insurance, like maintenance. And now for both of those items, like a cell phone, like a vehicle, and then other equipment, if you purchase that for your business, you may be able to claim depreciation expenses each year to mark down, the book value of those assets. Or even if you own them before you start the business, in some cases you can actually still claim depreciation expenses each year on those assets, assuming you're actually using them for business. Now, another expense you may be able to claim is for home usage. So that could be, your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, if you are operating your business from home. And this again would be something to look into before claiming, because it can depend on how you're using it, where else you're operating your business, your jurisdiction, things like that. But in some cases, you can claim some of those home expenses if you're using part of your home as, the headquarters or the main office for your business. The next thing to claim would be supplies. So that could be everything from, notebooks and erasers and pens and pencils and staples and different things like that. If you are legitimately using those in your business, then those are things you should claim as business expenses. Some other things to claim would be parking expenses. If you are going somewhere and you have to pay for parking, and that event that you are attending or that meeting you're going to is for business, then chances are you can probably claim your parking expense as a business expense. On top of that, events, if you're paying to go to certain events that are for business, you may be able to claim those as business expenses. Or education as well. If you're taking some type of educational program that is basically for your business, to help you or your staff, get some training on something or further your education in that field, you may be able to claim that as a business expense. Another thing you may be able to claim is meals. And so this is one I'm sure gets misused and misclaimed a little bit, but in some cases you can claim meals as an expense. So really depends. Like if you're going for lunch with your friend, your sibling, your aunt, your grandma, whatever, and you're not discussing business whatsoever, it's really just a personal meeting, you can't claim that as a business expense. That really has nothing to do with business. Whereas if you're meeting, a client, for a meal, or a prospective client or a business partner, and the main purpose of the meeting is for business purposes, and you probably wouldn't have met otherwise. If you are paying for that meal, then typically you can claim that at least in part as a business expense. And again, it does depend a little bit on the nature of the meeting and the jurisdiction and everything like that. Now, a couple final ones here would be interest. So in some instances, you can claim interest, especially on purchases of assets used in your business. If you took out a loan, to purchase some equipment, you're paying interest on it. Oftentimes you can claim that as a business expense. And then lastly, medical insurance premiums. In some cases, you can also claim those as business expenses. Now, in order to claim that, of course, like anything in this video, it depends on your jurisdiction and if you're meeting the criteria in order to claim those, but that is something that can be claimed sometimes. So just one that you don't want to overlook, and make sure you claim it if you are eligible to claim it. So hopefully this video was helpful. I know it's very general and I can't, speak too directly because I really need to work one-on-one with a client. I need to understand their jurisdiction, the nature of their business, things like that before giving more tailored advice. So again, do some research in your jurisdiction, work with a qualified professional there, and just really inform yourself, because this is really useful to understand as a business owner and also just good to understand the tax system in your jurisdiction. So if you got any value from the video, please click like and feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel here, where I currently have over 250 videos that cover business management and business startup topics.